You know, with me, I've been talking with Mr. Kelly probably every week for, a year or two now. Okay, so I sort of know, expect how he's going to be or what his thought processes are in this kind of situation. I was glad to see him be able to muster up the words to say something to the family. And say, I think he more wanted to say he was sorry. And, he's expressed that to me several times. But he said he just wanted to speak from the heart. And I think that Mr. Miller, I believe, who came up and spoke, had some very good words, spoke directly to him. And I think that really gave him the feelings of what to say while on the witness stand.
Well, Mr. Cho, we've seen a bunch of surprises just like today.
Yes.
In this case, you were hired, then fired, and then he represented himself one time, and then rehired. How has this relationship been?
Well, I tell you this, Mr. Kelly has been nothing but respectful. We've always had a good relationship. We talked about the situation where he wanted to represent himself. I think anytime you have a person that is in a desperate situation like this, lots of things go through their head. We talked, it was no reflection on our relationship. I told him that this is what your decision is, and I think the minute he found out what it was like to be in court, he was like, this is not a good idea. And so, and then after that, the relationship has always been fine.
Did he realize the seriousness of the death penalty? I mean, this is something that very few people under D.A. Mulroy has gotten.
Correct. Did he realize the seriousness of this? Absolutely. Anytime the state of Tennessee is trying to kill somebody, and that's basically what we do with the death penalty, it's state-sanctioned killing. And anytime that's the situation, everybody realizes how serious it is. And that's obviously why you spend a lot of time with your client. That's why we have a large team that works on the case. And he was not without realizing the gravity of the situation.
I heard you say the most difficult part was to get the death penalty off.
Well,
Did they want to keep the death penalty on?
Well, in this kind of situation, what we had, we had a case where basically part of the offense was videotaped. It was published live. And we also have a case where, very few people in the city of Memphis do not remember that day. Okay, where you were doing or what was happening when that took place, and when a shelter-in-place came out, everybody sort of remembers what they were doing, what was going on, and so that's about all I can say about that.
I'm curious if you have any thoughts. He talked about when it happened, he was in the darkest place of his life, and he talked about, his time incarcerated before, and he's so young. Does this talk about the need for mental health services and reaching our youth early and violence?
And here's the thing. When you go into a case like this and we have a sentencing phase of things, you talk about a person's life and what happens. And, interesting thing that Mr. Kelly commented on to me, and I'm not sharing any attorney-client thing here, but was that people aren't really interested to hear about how bad a person's life is or how bad their situation is when they're dealing with a horrific incident like this. But if you want to see an example of what happens when we don't do things for our youth and we don't counsel them and take care of them when they're younger, Mr. Kelly's the example. And if you guys don't believe it, we would put on a history of Mr. Kelly that showed him involved in the system from minute one. And I'm not saying involved in a bad way. I'm not saying involved in a way where he was committing crimes or things. Involved in a way with his family and stuff. And he is a prime example of if we don't start correcting that situation and correcting it at an early age in our community, as a community, this is what you're going to see. This is what you're going to see. We're going to come in these courtrooms and this is what's going to happen. We've seen it time and time again. At some point, our leaders, our people in our community need to get the message that, it's just not a lot of fluff about what these kids go through. And, we can all go home and be fine and live our lives, but these kids go through some horrific things. And I'm not sitting here giving any excuses for Mr. Kelly, but we've got a broken system and we've got a broken situation with our youth, and we need to do something about it.
I know there's client attorney privilege but did Mr. Kelly ever tell you why he did this? I know he said on the stand he was in a dark place, but did he
I
ever-
can't get into that. That would be, to me, I think that is something personal between Mr. Kelly and the victims' families. And so if they want to know, then, I think that is their right and stuff to know, but I think that is something that needs to be kept private with them.
Well, you and Ms. Tipton, again, have been alongside, Mr. Kelly for the longest. What was that turning moment when you recognized, because I can remember when he was 19, even having that mugshot taken when he was smiling. And then it's almost like every court case, it's almost like you could see he was being humbled. Something was happening. So when did you notice that there was a switch that was hit?
I probably noticed more of a switch in Mr. Kelly, I'd say, about the time when we continued the trial dates.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd say about that time. I noticed a change and a switch in him somewhat, but he really started to switch a lot at that point.
And I would say that there wasn't a distinct switch on or off, but it was a process. And I think Mr. Kelly has had a process. He's processed what the conduct was during these crimes, and then an enormous growth in Mr. Kelly personally since that time. And it goes back from who he was on the day when this first killing occurred to who he is today. I think that he started changing when he came back and he asked us to come back on the case and start helping him, and he was in a different place and was moving towards what ultimately happened today.
And I think about Mr. Kelly, I don't think he wants it to be about him right now. He wants it to be about the families that have gone through this horrific event, and them being able to at least have this finalized in court where they can stop having to worry about court dates, stop having to come to court, stop having to worry about a trial date, and can go about on their process of what they have to do. They'll never be healed, but they'll go through the process of trying to heal some.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Well, when he kept saying, this is my last question.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's almost like he couldn't form the words, and he admitted. What was he trying to say when he said, this brought us together? Because there was even reaction from those sort of in the gallery, from the family and victims, when he was saying, this brought us together. So what do you think, someone that has spent years with them, what was he trying to say?
It's something that's brought us together. I think he was more trying to say that, these events have led us all to be in this one room, and he wants to show that the situation that he's been given, the new lease on life, that he is not going to waste that, and he is going to try to do everything positive he can in the future on behalf of the victims and their families. And that I know he really just trying to find the right words to say I'm sorry in a meaningful way. And he would always tell me, he said, there's no way to put it into words where it won't sound hollow. And there really isn't.
There was just an audible gasp, from the family.
And I can understand that, absolutely.
Thank you.